Hi, my name is Jacob Hall, and I'm a media production assistant for the Studio for Teaching and Learning Innovation at William & Mary. Today I sat down with Professor Stinton, a lecturer in the psychology department, and she told me about moving her classes online during the coronavirus pandemic. Professor Stinton, I really appreciate you doing this interview with a baby literally in your arms.
That's all right.
If you don't mind talking a little bit about what you study, I know that you've done a lot of work related to eating disorders, and I'd like to hear more about that.
I'm a senior lecturer, so I don't have an active lab. I did in the past. I was a postdoc before coming to William & Mary, so I spent time doing prevention research at WashU Med School in St. Louis. I've very proudly sent a few students into the eating disorders world as counselors, researchers, possible future therapists. So often have students in my research classes who bring up a question on, I want to look at body image or disordered eating. And I'm like, I can almost help you too much. I'm not sure I can help the other students as much as I can help you, and that feels unfair.
Is there a challenge that you've had recently in teaching a class that you could talk about and maybe how you dealt with it?
Yeah, I'll certainly talk about, I think everyone would talk about the pivot online. I hate that word now. Moving classes that are lecture, seminar, freshman-oriented, senior-oriented. I tend to teach a mix. Students have very different needs depending on what the class format is and how much experience they've had on our campus and with our faculty. I am remote this semester. I teach some class synchronously, some asynchronously. I think I've allowed a little bit more personal anecdotes than I might usually if we're meeting in person, just to get people comfortable and because they may or may not know each other. So I think that helps the personal connections. And I think it's just listening differently. Trying to think about what it is like to be a college student and having, I hope I always have empathy, but having more noticeable empathy. The move to remote learning this spring taught me a lot about what I hadn't thought about for some students, what they were dealing with, what internet access is really like or not like for a large number of people. Really gave me pause as someone who's a big fan of online learning and innovation. It does no good if people can't access it.
Absolutely.
And that was really, and still is upsetting to me, that students struggled not because they didn't care or they didn't want to, but because there were very basic barriers to access in place. And I had no idea how pervasive a problem that was.
You developed your own resources for some of your classes that involved an online textbook with your own materials added to it. Could you tell me more about what that looked like?
I think a lot of faculty always get too many emails from textbook reps, particularly when we're moving online. And some were very helpful. Companies making their books available for free, ebooks, things like that. And I very much like Beth Morling's, I think it's Everyday Research Methods textbook. I use it in Psych 302. So I had an appointment with one of their reps, and he walked me through what the ebook really looked like. And he was like, you can highlight things, you can put notes in, you can say, students, pay attention to this. Or I added in TED Talks into the textbook. I learned to embed, we all started making Panopto videos, Zoom videos. I could embed my lectures right into the textbook. Like, okay, well, read this, and then in theory, hopefully people would then listen to my video. So it wasn't just the textbook, and it wasn't just my lectures. It was blending them together in one place. So it kind of, I hope, took what I would do in the classroom and put it into the textbook, which I just thought was kind of neat. And fairly easy to do.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. One of the things I've had the most challenge with in some of my classes is connecting specific lectures to aspects of the textbook. So having them all in one place would be really valuable. Do you have any ideas or thoughts about how education or teaching can be innovated in the future? And are there technologies that you would love to see made available to you to make your teaching easier?
So I'd love to see ebooks get better and more interactive, and to be cheaper or free. I think that is my biggest frustration with my excitement over the work that I did still comes with a price tag. So I would love to find ways for me to start getting to know open access resources where I could still do what I did, embed video, highlight, put assignments in that are quality. And I think a lot of open access resources are. I just have to find them. I gave up the rental or the used copy of the hard copy of my book to move online and to embed all this material. And that comes with a cost. And it's frustrating. So I would love to work more to reduce those costs. I think that's probably the biggest hidden challenge college students face, is these extra costs on top of tuition.
Professor Stinton, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you have a great weekend, and thanks for joining me for a STLI Teach Me Something Fellows interview.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks again to Professor Stinton for her time today. She gave me a lot to think about regarding making the classroom a more caring and accessible place for us to learn.